Hello?
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 Good morning, gamer.
Good morning. We were just talking about on my stream how we need more beef in Rocket League. Like,
yeah. I don't know, man. I feel like we don't need more beef because if we got more beef with the current roster of people that we have, it's not going to be the beef we want, man. I don't think these players are capable.
That might be true.
I don't think they're capable of real beef.
I mean, it's hard to have genuine beef too. Like, you don't go out and be like, okay, I'm going to start beef, like just because we do that. Like the real beef comes naturally, and I don't think that actually comes.
It does come naturally. You're right. Yeah. Instead, we get top of the subreddit 223 comments about Rise calling someone a plastic oat.
Well,
that's as beefy. That's as beefy as it gets, bro.
He was spitting facts though, so
it's true. Never backed a team in my life, bro.
Okay. All right. Well, you want to start us off here with your 10?
Yeah, I'll start. I got my number 10 actually Shopify Rebellion.
Okay.
I have them at 10. You get a tentative 10 for now. My biggest thing with Shopify Rebellion is, can you do it again? And I didn't want to put any other team above Rebellion because Memory and Parth have stuck together. I didn't want to put Dignitas above them because Dignitas didn't make it to the final 8. And I thought that Shopify Rebellion had done enough. They looked good enough against better teams as well. They answered some questions and maybe brought a couple more to the table for me. And I don't feel strongly about any other team at number 10. So that's where they are for me.
I like this because we don't instantly agree. I have NRG at 10.
Ooh.
I still think that they're going to be a top 10 team. They had some close series in their main event. They lost 5 with Dignitas, which was like a bad loss for NRG. Like they should be beating these types of teams personally. Mm-hmm. And then they had a 5-game loss against Furia. They got crushed by GenG, but then they were back to business in the middle of their event against Rogue and PK or Knights. If they're not the gatekeeper of NA, they're going to be the gatekeeper of the bubble still. And realistically, NRG could turn it on for 1 week and show everyone how good they are again. Like they kind of did that last season too.
Yeah.
No one else performed high enough or well enough to knock them out of the 10 for me.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. That's why I have NRG at 9. Obviously, this team, I don't know if they're going to move far from this position all season. I feel the same that you feel about them. They will continue to gatekeep bubble teams. However, like in top 16 quals, getting perfect swept by Accelerate is not a good look. Like you said, losing to Dignitas in 5, not a good look. The GenG sweep looks better at the end of the day. And I remember their series against Furia. Furia are tough competition. And that game 5 was some of the best I'd seen NRG play in months. If they can channel that, what they had in game 5 against Furia, they didn't end up winning at the end. But if they could channel that, I think that they could bounce back and be consistent top 8. I don't think this is a major team though.
Yeah, fair enough. But like I said, that's kind of how I feel at the moment. They can change my mind very quickly. So for me, I don't know. I have complexity here.
Okay.
I wasn't impressed with complexity, but I have like a little asterisk next to them. I think for complexity, they're better than what they showed. They also had some really tough series. Like I think it's really tough to walk into main event and play Furia round 1 just because of what it is. Obviously they knew each other, but they did really well in their top 16 qualifier. They 3-0'd GenG. They also 3-0'd Rogue, which I think was a good day for Rogue and was probably the best looking win that Complexity could have gotten against Rogue. I think for Complexity, they're going to move up. I like this team, but I don't think they were 100% because of everything going on with CRR. So I think Complexity will be good. We didn't really see a whole lot of them here in the main event. I mean, we saw 5 games from them, but it was pretty bloody from them, right? They went 5 with Furia, 5 with Rogue, 5 with Dignitas, 5 with Optic. And they also lost to Seoul, which was probably their worst loss across the board.
Definitely.
The series that they had against Furia and Optic were really, really like disgusting series of just like grit and determination from them. I think for Complexity, they're going to trend upwards.
Yeah, I have Complexity at 8. besides what you said, I think for me, I was really impressed with CRR in his initial debut on this team. And I do know that, CRR had some stuff with his dad that was going on. He spent the whole day before the main event started in the hospital with his dad. And I don't know if that, like, how much of an effect that had. Obviously, I think that's going to have an effect on you, whether you want to try to ignore it or not. Like, there's no way, like, that's not on you subconsciously. So Complexity have 8 for now, but with how they looked in top 16 quals, if that team comes back, then that's a major contending team. They look really good. They look better overall to me than NRG, despite the soul loss, which is really bad. I think NRG also have enough bad losses on them to justify Complexity above them.
My 8 is Shopify. Shocker. So we have the same 3 teams, but in completely different orders.
Shopify at 8 is bold, though. I think that's a little bold considering, like, there's no history or anything like that.
No history. But no history.
One really solid placement, and you got them top 8.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the highest I could have put them for sure. I think they're going to be the real deal.
Complexity too.
Yeah, I think they're going to be the real deal. I think that I can't. I was saying this before. This is the first team that I'll say it, but I don't trust them completely yet. I've tentatively put them 8, and I think that they can be the real deal. I do think that they're going to struggle against Complexity and NRG currently. Those are going to be matchups that they're going to be battling a lot. I think, like in our power rankings. I mean, but also in the game as well. I like them. I just want to see more. Like you're saying, I know, like, you jumped all over me here, and I know a lot of people might do the same. I just think that Shopify has already proven that they'll be consistent against teams below them, which is really, really important, and that they've punched up a little bit, beat everyone around them, and then also beat V1, who is clearly above them in my power rankings, right? And they also had a pretty decent series against FaZe. I know they got 4-2'd, but they were very, very decent. Close games.
I mean, that 3-goal comeback in game, right. It was 2-1 FaZe in the series. Like, they come back, they tie that game, they win it, and even the score 2-2. You completely change the makeup of the series like that, and teams don't do that against FaZe. Very impressive.
Right. So yeah, I'm definitely giving them some leeway here, but I'm tentatively putting them 8. I mean, they could very easily, like, just completely shit the bed after this. Like, the teams under Shopify on my list are having some issues, whether, personal issues or like family issues. And I feel like Shopify, they've got the right mentality right now. They got the right players in the right spot playing at the right consistency. I think that they could push higher.
I agree. I will say, I think you're a little crazy for having Shopify so high.
I think Shopify's trending up. So that's why I have them at 8. All right, what's your 7?
Number 7, I have version 1. And this would be, if we think about where I had them before, I think I had version 1 at number 4 in NA on our very last power ranking we did for them last season. So they've fallen down a couple of steps here, but it's really no surprise considering the strength in North America at the moment. Now, here's the thing about V1. Version 1 had a very good top 16 qual. It was fairly no nonsense. And then in the main event, version 1 had a little more trouble in the Swiss. They lost to Shopify Rebellion, and they lost to FaZe in 5. Now, the FaZe loss in 5, that series was honestly kind of ridiculous. The Rebellion loss definitely hurts them a little bit more. And they only got top 8. They couldn't make it to top 4. They lose to the mostly European GenG plus Chronic. Putting them at 7th, I know some people might think that might be a little harsh, but then when I consider how all of the teams above them performed, it's hard for me to put version 1 any higher than 7th. I mean, that's just, to me, that just spoke to like the strength of the region early on.
I have Furia at 7.
Okay.
I think.
How dare you?
I mean, V1 didn't even. Neither did Furia, but I think V1's matchups were a lot weaker than Furia's matchups in the main event. And I also think that, like, the big glaring difference was that Furia didn't make it through the top 16 qualifier. So I think when you take the context of the way they played and not making out of the top 16 qualifier as basically a top 4 team in the world coming into this, right? Or however you want to put it. I don't think that you shouldn't be able to make it out of a top 16 qualifier in North America, especially when teams like Rogue and Dignitas are making it, when those teams haven't been very consistent, right? For me, that's scary for Furia. Now, granted, they had a lot of close series too. Like, they lost in Game 5 to V1, they lost in Game 5 to Optic, and then they went to round 5 of Swiss in the main event, and won some of their Game 5s, but yeah, I think it's also really close too. Like, I think you're splitting hairs here with some of these teams in this like 6-7, 5-6-7 range. So it's close.
I feel you. This one's probably going to be pretty long-winded for me because, needless to say, I have my gripes with them as a fan. Number 6, I have Furia. I do have them above version 1. Reasons, you may ask? Well, I'm biased and I'm not going to give you reasons. You want me to elaborate? No. Actually, no, I will. I'm probably going to end up talking more about Furia's problems than I will anything else, but I have them over version 1 because I didn't think that Furia's losses were as bad. Thanks. You are definitely right. I think you get a point for saying, version 1 beating Furia in 5 in the top 16 qual is certainly of note, but there was a lot of Rocket League played after that, and I thought Furia got better as the weekend went on. And then also, I thought they looked better in the main event as well. Beating Complexity with the way CRR was looking, and that was probably the most quality Complexity had looked the entire day. Like, CRR was all over the place in our series, and we managed to shut them down. And then we went up against Space Station. We lost because of a very specific reason, and we lost to Optic in 4, Space Station in 4, both, again, for like the same exact reasons. But then took care of business against NRG, and beating teams we should beat, like Accelerate. They looked really good against Accelerate. And for 4 out of the 6 games against G2, I thought that Furia looked pretty good. We don't talk about game 6. But I thought they looked better against G2 than like version 1 did against GenG. And while that's not like the biggest weight in my mind, it was something that came up when I was thinking about how Furia looked. Now, I think also I am like, the bias is coming from me having watched all 11 of Furia's matches, like having casted every single one of them except for Furia G2. Like, this team is literally, they're right here. They're like, you can't see what I'm doing, Corelli, but I'm making like a little like small gesture to see like how close they are to getting over the hump. Because I think they were a little shocked at first in the top 16 qual when they couldn't out mech everybody. They literally just tried to air dribble mech over Dignitas, and it wasn't working. I'm like, this team is too smart for that. They know how to play against this play style. You can't air dribble mech your way to victory in NA. Like, you might have been able to do that in South America, but that doesn't work here with the top 16 teams. Like, these guys know how to play against highly mechanical players and teams. So, like, you're going to get trounced by these types of players that know how to prioritize, how to work against mechanical teams. The biggest thing that works and that Furia still need to adjust on is demos. Furia were like dead last in the top 16 in demos per game. They were under 2 demos a game, which is pathetic. That is pathetic. The average is over 3. I think it's over 3.5 is like the average above, like if you took 1 to 16. So they are almost behind by like 2+ demos a game. And you could totally see it in their series against Optic and Space Station and G2. All of them it's the same problem with like demos. They get deleted, then they don't really know how to recover on defense unless they get a hammer clear, and then they can get reset. But like, that's the trouble that they have, is getting the hammer clear and getting reset. And then they're not good at punching back. They suck at going for demos. And I think it's just because they're so concerned with getting back. Like, they're still in their adjustment period. It had been under a week since Furia had moved from South America to North America, so they have that over their back as well. But I actually think the way Furia adapted over 3 tournament days, or over 4 total tournament days, was exactly what you want to see. They did start demoing a little bit more near the end. They didn't against G2, but I think that was more because it was G2 than it was because Furia weren't demoing. G2 are really good at avoiding demos, and I think their unorthodox play style lends towards that, but that's another point, another conversation. But Furia, like, these little things are causing them to lose against the top teams. And They lost to Dignitas earlier in the tournament. I don't think they lose to Dignitas again. I think they've figured out after 2 grueling 5-game sets against Luminosity how exactly to play against these teams, and knowing how to mix it up a little bit more. Furia's only issue is that they don't mix it up. And I don't think this is going to be a rerun of True Neutral moving to North America, because there's 2 totally different situations. I think this team is 6th right now with how they looked, even how they looked against G2. And I really think that they're going to be contending for that last major spot. I think it's probably going to take all split for them to fully adjust, but they need to figure out a way to get past a team like Optic, who I thought Optic were reading Furia really well. If you watch how Optic were reading the game, they were waiting for Furia to get the first touch each time. And then, yeah, anyways, I've rambled on long enough. I've gone on forever and ever.
You were going, man. My favorite part about that was that you were saying we.
Oh yeah.
You were saying we got to do this.
Yeah.
No, I think you brought up a good point. I definitely agree that North America is a very weird environment to be in, and some things that work globally aren't going to work in North America. I definitely agree. Like aerial attack is going to be very tough. Like when you talk about like air dribbles and stuff like that, it's going to be very tough for anyone, not just Furia, to break through. You only see like the best. Like that's why I think North America gets a lot of credit for like how mechanical some players are, especially like their play style, because North America chooses an extremely hard play style to execute that requires like perfection. When it comes to like the solo plays and stuff like that, whereas like a European play style is just all around very, very solid and much more consistent. Like that's what Garrett said too, that one time we had him on here as well, is like a lot of like bubble teams will go all in on this crazy play and then they suck and get counterattacked and then they get scored on like instantly. Not to say that that's what Furia was doing, but just in general, I think a lot of NA teams have seen that song and dance before and they know how to defend against it.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's pretty much the Cliff's Notes version of my ramble. So yeah.
No. I actually agree with all the points you're saying. I'm just kind of yanking your chain a little bit.
Yeah, it was just really frustrating because I know they can be better, and I know that they know that they can be better. And I just want to see it happen faster. But yeah, that's my team rant. So thanks for bearing with that. If you ever back a team as plastic as I am, let me know, and then I'll let you go on forever about them.
So I have V1. I have nothing to say because I already basically explained the difference between my V1 and Furia pick.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna like go into it other than I think V1 have opportunities to move up. I don't want to see them go any further down, but I do think teams like Furia will absolutely zoom up the list very quickly. Like I have full trust in Furia to do well. So I came into the season thinking they were like top 4 at least. So I think they can get to that form, and version 1 I might get shot down to 7 if they don't like show some more consistency, especially when you get to the top 8 too. All right, what's your 5?
Yeah. My 5 is Optic. This team is really good. I think this team is stupid good. And I think the only reason they aren't top 2 right now is because they're a brand new team and they're figuring it out. But I feel like out of every single team I watched this weekend, other than FaZe, I was most impressed with Optic. They look so strong. Magic Bear looks like a completely renewed. He looks like who Magic Bear should have always looked like on this team. Sorry, I had to get that out because no one cared about anything Magic Bear did until Optic signed him. Then apparently he was always good.
I don't know. There was a few people that had a little something to say about Magic Bear when he was on Torrent, right? There was a little grumblings of him and the way he was playing. Like he was good grumblings.
Really?
But yeah,
you really feel that way?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a lot.
I feel like every time I watched. Okay, so you're saying that's what people were saying.
Yeah,
okay, sorry.
There was conversations. I thought you said it was very short-lived. No, it was very short-lived.
Okay, because I was gonna say I didn't feel like Magic Bear played well on Torrent at all. Like I remember watching him being like, "Dude, aren't you supposed to be better than this?"
Or Alpine.
Like,
sorry, it was Alpine.
Alpine. I mean, it was Torrent as well. He did play for Torrent.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sorry, just to take it away, I also have Optic, just so we can check that one off the list. I think
cool. Yeah.
I think it's fair to put them 5. I really like the team. Really, the talking point for me is AJ. I think that guy, he's going to be a dog this season. He's going to be a dog. I love the way he looks on this team so far.
Dude.
So there are some consistency issues, like they're going deep in series, they're throwing some series, or like going further than they have to in some of these series. They had to reverse sweep Rogue in the top 16 qualifier. They went back and forth with G2, lots of overtimes, but that's a good sign, really, if you're going back and forth with G2. Right now, their biggest thing is like trying to figure out Space Station, because Space Station kind of clapped them. So I think Optic, though, is going to be very, very strong, and I think they will be a top 4 contender at the very least throughout the season. And I this is a major team for me, easy. I like this team a lot. I'm glad we agree on Optic, though. That's a good one to agree on.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
What's your 4? Here's where it gets spicy for me, at least. But
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I don't think my top 4 are actually that hot takes, but apparently they are. Go for your 4.
It's funny because every time we both feel like we're being spicy, I feel like we end up with the same list. I would not be surprised if our top 4 is the same, actually. So number 4, I have GenG. Now I considered putting GenG a little bit higher, but I was factoring everybody's like top 16 qual and close qual performances in all of this. And I think that matters for GenG when we're talking about power rankings and how strong I think that they looked. Now, here's the thing. GenG looked really strong in the playoffs. Like, I thought GenG's playoff form against version 1 and Space Station were a step above what they were even in the main event, or even in Swiss, where they only lose to FaZe, but then the rest of GenG's run was really not that bad in Swiss. You had to play Accelerate, Dignitas, and NRG. Definitely a world better than their top 16 qual performance. I like this team. I don't remember the last time I've seen Applejack, excuse me, which I somehow love more.
Applejack, yeah.
Applejack's great. But like, I don't even remember the last time I saw him look that ridiculous. It might have been fall last year, but like even then, I don't know. I think what I anticipated was seeing like Nolly and Chronic kind of trade off the goal scoring, and Appjack would end up like being in situations where he's facilitating a lot more. But no, this man just straight up took over the lobby himself. I thought Chronic looked as a lot of people expected him to. I thought he was inconsistent at times, but you could see the upside, and you could also see the power and why Appjack and Nolly went for him. I think Chronic, I mean, you and I, Corelli, we've talked about like these exact players, like the Chronics, the two pieces of the world that haven't been given a shot. Now he's finally given one. And while maybe at times I do think he looked rough, there were other times where it's like, I see the synergy on this team. Like this is a really strong team. And I think 4 is totally fair for GenG right out the gate. You made it to the grand finals in your very first tournament in North America with your ranked grinder, who's got not ranked grinder, he made 2 top 8s last year, but still, like, I was impressed by this GenG team. Nothing more I could say there.
Yep, I also have GenG at 4. I think a lot of people, this is what I said on my stream earlier, a lot of people are going to get caught up in the matchup between Space Station and GenG and not look at the whole pie. They're going to look at one slice, and certainly GenG got the better of Space Station. GenG beat them fair and square and crushed them. However, that can still be true, and the rest of the tournament for Space Station can be absolutely brilliant from them. And they looked really good throughout their top 16 and into their Swiss. I mean, they were
against Optic.
People.
I mean, against Optic in the top 8, they were incredible. I
think people look at these lists and say, well, the team above them cannot be a team that's beaten them before, because that won't make sense. And that's not how I view these lists. I'm viewing it as if they were all like cards and I had to play the card that would be the trump in most cases, I'm playing Space Station at the moment, right? Yeah. And for me, like for the rest of the field, like how strong are they to the rest of the field? I think I'm putting Space Station down at the moment. I don't blame anyone who has Space Station under GenG. I don't think that's necessarily a horrible take, but I do think that for now, and for me, I'm going to keep GenG here because they are a new team. I don't trust, as I said before, it's a theme for me. I don't trust new teams, even if they're European players. I don't trust new teams quite yet with a singular result. I'm going to go with teams that I know have been performing or who have performed.
So do you have Space Station at 3rd?
Yeah, so I have SSG at 3.
Same.
Just to
Yeah.
Okay.
For pretty much the reasons that you were stating, and someone in my chat just said that, they personally would put GenG over SSG because of them beating them in semis. But I do agree with your point that these are kind of resistive power rankings almost. At least I know we both try not to overreact to results. And I think that Space Station's run through the entire tournament means enough for them to stay over a brand new team moving to a new region. And I think that Space Station, up until that semifinal, I really don't know what happened to Space Station against GenG, because as good as they looked, I thought Space Station looked bad. They certainly didn't look like they did against Optic. And I was wondering where that Space Station team was.
The thing is, that's the only talking point against Space Station. So you can say whatever you want, and you could be like, GenG, they smoked them, they spanked them, they outscored them, they were bumping the challenges. They were better than Space Station. They were in that series. That's the only scar against Space Station in that entire tournament.
Or sorry, Furia Chase just put in my chat, Space Station went 26-7 in games played throughout the entire tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. That's insane.
All right. 1 and 2. I'll go first on my 1 and 2.
All right.
Jorby.
All right. What do you got?
I got Little Step Bros and Team Twitter. No.
Wait. You're putting Team Twitter 2? Are you for Team Twitter's number 1?
No.
What?
No, they're definitely not.
Hang on. Fisher, I got you, bro. As for a clip it for me.
Don't clip it.
Clip it for me. I know you see it. Team Twitter at the top. You're so good. There's a gap. There's no one in number 2. Nobody can compare. Nobody can compete. Team Twitter, the GOATs. My boy Spuda, Fisher, Asfura, going all the way.
It's not. All right. Enough with the T-baits.
All right, I'm done.
No, I have G2-1 phase 2 at the moment.
G2-1.
G2-1. Yep.
Ooh, I got phase 1.
G2-1.
Okay.
Yeah, phase 1 for you. Okay.
Yeah.
I think for me, I totally see why you would want to put phase. They won. They looked great. I still think G2 is going to be the best team in North America. I think that they definitely had a bad series against FaZe. Kind of the same thing for Space Station. I just feel like G2, while FaZe had arguably a better look than GenG did early on, I think G2 is just going to be the better team throughout the season. I think these two are going to be trading blows though, for sure. Like I think it's safe to say that the way FaZe played, they're definitely top 2 at the moment. So I think for me, G2 is going to be on top.
Did you watch FaZe on Sunday?
Yeah,
Did you watch? Great. Did you watch FaZe on Saturday?
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
No,
are you crazy?
No.
You're actually crazy right now. Like you were sitting in the green room the whole day talking Costello this, Costello that.
I was.
Apparently don't believe in Costello enough to put him number 1. What do they have to do to convince you? What do they have to do? FaZe were already, they were pretty top 4, dude. All they need to do is win, and then they're number 1. I'm pretty sure I got a clip from you last season somewhere, and that you probably ended up saying that. I could probably catch you in a red-faced lie here. This is ridiculous.
There's no lie here.
You see First Killer put on the type of performance? Sypical literally looks better than he did season 8 when he got MVP, or season 9, whenever. Oh. No, Shock was MVP season 9. Sypical was season 8 MVP, and he hasn't looked like an MVP until this regional since season 8. And then Mist comes in and is just clearly the missing piece.
MVPs
I'm
in the
just
first
telling
regional.
you. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you, bro. No. I'm just saying Sypical was playing like one. I'm not saying he was the MVP. I'm saying because he was previously an MVP and I haven't seen him play this well since he was an MVP. That's what I mean when I say MVP level. I'm just saying, did you watch FaZe this weekend?
No,
apparently not.
No, so for me, FaZe is a team that's been very much a top 4 team throughout the entire season, and that's all they've been. Now, I do think that my boy Nick Costello can push this team to a number one spot. Absolutely. Winning the first regional, though, I don't think I immediately want to move them up there. I still think G2 coming off of a grand final world championship loss, of course. I still think they're going to be the top dog here in North America. That being said, I would love to see FaZe start winning more. I think to be the number one team, you have to consistently win, in my mind. And I don't think that for FaZe, they haven't done that. Now everyone's going to say, as soon as I said that, oh, G2 didn't win, so what the hell? But G2 did win a lot last season, a lot. And I want FaZe to be that as well. I think they are very, very, very comfortable in the top two at the moment. Look, and I don't see any other way around it right now.
Look, man, with the way G2 played in the grand finals at the World Championship, you know how that went, all right? And then
they got to,
and then they got absolutely slapped up. They got slapped up by FaZe. And so now, did G2 beat FaZe and Swiss? Sure. But I don't really care because they clapped them when it mattered in the playoffs. And then absolutely clapped GenG, who looked like they would have taken Phase 7 when you were watching them against both Version 1 and Space Station. You're probably thinking, Europeans are going to win NA. I kind of wanted that to happen. I was rooting for you, Jack, against FaZe. I really was, but First Killer's a hell of a drug. That man is absolutely insane. I just can't, when I think about like best in NA, and like you said, if I had to pick a card right now out of my hand to give best of NA on the deck, it's FaZe. I'm not picking G2. I'm picking FaZe.